The unsolved problem of obesity. Coping with overweight is one of the most desperating issues for those who experience it. Conventional efforts for treating the problem by means of diet and physical exercise are revealed again and again as ineffective in the long run. Still, most human beings keep trying in the same ways. The result is always another rise in weight, with the addition of failure feelings, helplessness and desperation. The reason for failure lies in the misunderstanding of the dynamics in which the physical body gains weight. The known diet is based on the assumption that the physical body raises as a result of excessive caloric balance, which turns into physical material, excessive fat. According to this understanding, the derived conclusion is that reducing the consumption of physical material, food, will bring about a reduction of the physical body. This perception is mistaken because it is based on a narrowing view and on analytical causation, which suggest a physical solution to what is seized as a problem that is physical in essence. This conception oversimplifies the complexity of man and neglects the many strata that affect his life, far beyond the physical dimension. Due to that, it cannot offer an effective solution to the problem. The holistic perspective on man tells us that in order to solve a problem, physical as well, we ought to expand the point of view and understand the entirety of physical, emotional, mental and spiritual causes, in which it was created. The roots of the obesity problem, reversed alchemy of gold into lead. The alchemical perspective on the obesity phenomenon begins with the perception that man is an entity that owns creation forces, and is capable of building by himself its physical body, emotional world, mental forces and spiritual strength, and create the physical and spiritual reality in which he or she lives. This force is executed by the ability of man to do a transformation of itself and its environment from low-energy existence to existence of a higher frequency, in the same way that an alchemist turns lead into gold. In fact, this is the aim of his life, and to there leads his personal path. Overweight is a sign that for some reason the person is focused too much on creating himself a physical body, and neglects the creation of other parts of him and his life. Creation forces that reside in man are executed by the interaction of two fundamental and opposing energies. These energies are known in different names as matter and spirit, prana and shakti, yin and yang, and so on. In this article one shall refer to these energies as light and darkness. The interaction between these opposing forces has been the factor that created man while being in the womb of its mother, and in the first years of its life. This creating interaction can exist when these two energies are distinct from each other. In this situation, the light supplies the creation program and the darkness creates the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual structures needed for its execution. However, with birth the strength of darkness intensifies, due to the primal trauma of disconnection from cosmic feeding, and it is expressed in the constitution of strong pulling, gravitational forces that absorb light into them. In this situation man lacks the ability to execute the creation program that is imprinted in him, because the absorption of light by darkness creates a process of reverse alchemy in which it declines in its frequencies. The result is that instead of being a creating force, it turns to an exterminating force that continues to transform high-frequency material to low-frequency material. The result is that the man gets to a root of death and termination, instead of continuing creation and development. The light that is swallowed in darkness perpetually keeps trying to execute the creation intention in it, and it tries to turn the direction of the alchemical process, to increase in its frequency and escape from the absorption of darkness. These efforts are actually seen in various human behaviors, from physical manifestations to emotional, mental and spiritual expressions. The ability of light to escape from darkness is totally dependent on the acknowledgement and acceptance of these human manifestations by its human environment in the first years of its life. But because the light that tries to escape is of a low frequency, it is manifested as behaviors that do not look lighted, and they express mostly egoistic personal wishes. Society, in general, rejects most of these expressions and forbids them, and later on man learns to reject them himself, usually in an automatic unconscious way. Weight gain is a result of the rejection of light and its collapse. In order to be expressed as light that has the ability of giving, instead of absorption qualities that darkness has, light has to vibrate in the frequency that is right for it. The rejection of the light that tried to escape darkness causes it to lose this frequency, and it collapses into a chaotic structure of a too low frequency, in which it continues to be expressed as darkness. The collapse is taking place in a complex process, in which the light that tried to go out is not falling back to a dimension of total inexistence, but collapses to lower levels of existence than the ones it should have reached. Light that was supposed, for example, to create a solid and functional physical body but was rejected, decreases in its frequency and creates a lower frequency physical body that is non-functional and is not supposed to exist according to the program of man. In other words, it creates fat. In the same way, light that was supposed to be manifested as an emotion and was rejected, deteriorates in its frequency and becomes a physical matter that is again manifested as fat. Thus, there is a sustainment of the process in which the rejection of light, either by society or by the unconsciousness of man, moves it to exist in lower energetic levels, characterized by forces of absorption and destruction instead of creation, than the ones in which it is supposed to be. Thus the reversed alchemy through which light goes, builds a physical body that is growing by the superfluous layers that are added to it, and the result is overweight. Man continues to be created, but the structure it creates is chaotic, unbalanced and distorted. The light that tried to get out of darkness in order to execute the creation program inside it, is left in the level of physical body as an unrealized potential. The relationship between food and obesity in alchemical view. In its unstopping efforts to raise the frequencies of light that collapse to darkness, man is looking for external energy that will assist him in achieving that. This energy exists in the world as manifestations of spiritual entities to which man calls God, Cosmos, Shiva, etc. However, because he hesitates to place full trust in him, he prefers to receive energy from earthly sources, and food is the most available source that man consumes in order to enable the light in him to escape from the pull of the darkness. But because the food is consumed by a man whose energetic structure is characterized by absorption forces in the first place, it too goes through reversed alchemy processes. The food structure turns chaotic and his energy is absorbed to areas whose frequency is too low and which are continuing to grow as a physical body. That's why food can, and does, cause overweight. Narrowing the amounts of food and its composition by diet admittedly brings about reduction in the sizes of physical body, because it reduces the absorption forces by denying energy from them, thereby allowing more light to come out, mainly from the unproportionally created body. Yet, the rise of light raises also the fear of new rejection of it, and this fear turns to a gravitational force that prevents the light from getting out. Moreover, it brings about collapse of additional light that succeeded to escape. The result is that diet even strengthens the absorption forces and the reverse alchemy processes, and when man stops the diet and returns to eat as usual, his body gains weight even more. Thus, the more man experiences additional diets, the lower his chances to reduce his weight, because his structure becomes more and more energetically absorbing and the reverse alchemy processes in him become stronger and stronger. The result is increasing fattening. Alchemical weight loss, transduction of physical material. According to the alchemical perspective, weight loss is a process in which the light that collapsed and turned into redundant physical material is rising again in its frequencies and reaches the energetic levels that are right for it. The result of reducing weight in this way is emergence of new parts in the person, in his emotional, mental and spiritual world, as well as his physical body. This weight reduction process creates an alchemy of low material into a new person, more complex and of a higher energetic frequency existence. From a person with an exaggerated mass of low-frequency material, which looks like physical material, it turns into a more developed entity with creation forces and creation intentions, instead of destruction forces, including the destruction of self. This process is bringing the person to a root of energetic transduction, gives hope to his life, gives him back his connection to self, enables him to feel capable to realize his wishes, gives him the ability to distinguish between good and bad in his life, and mostly enables him to feel connected to an entity bigger than himself. Thereby this process fixes the feeling of existential loneliness that characterizes men's life. This is a very different way from the way of an ordinary diet in which the person tries to get rid of parts of himself, and thereby strengthen the self-blame, desperation, anger, and feeling of alienation. The way to alchemical transduction of body weight. In order to start the alchemical process that is necessary for the reduction of weight, it is first needed to stop the continuation of the reversed alchemy processes inside us. These processes do not allow us to grow and they turn our potential to physical material. These processes, in essence, are light that does not succeed to approach consciousness and therefore decreases in its frequencies, and thus the most important elementary tool to stop them is drawing attention to these processes by awareness to the fact of their existence. Such awareness enables the person a feeling of control that he didn't have beforehand, when he felt helpless against his arbitrarily changing weight without knowing why, and how to prevent it. The feeling of control provides him also an ability to choose between life without self-realization that is characterized by the familiar suffering, including excessive fattening, and a life in which he struggles to free the light in him and creates himself and his environment and obtains a balanced body, among others. This article consists is one such a tool of drawing awareness to these processes. Freeing the light also requires getting over the fear from rejection and fear from change. Those fears are embedded in the nervous system, and getting over it requires techniques that overpass that system. Such techniques come from various domains of treatment, including EMDR, kinesiology, and others. More techniques need to be developed, and it requires a cooperation of researchers and therapists. Treating overweight is much more than controlling nutrition. It is a project of spiritual development of private man and humanity. That is an interesting point of view. Wouldn't you say? If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and do not forget to subscribe as we share more information at Healthy Balanced Club website.